some induction in case, but we stop them from developing ideas. Honorable Minister, this is, and honorable colleagues, this is an overview of the votes under Ministry of Internal Affairs. Just 3 points, and before we entertain specific votes, and we want you to also focus on BFP and the questions that we sent to you. But Honorable Minister, I have been following, of course. On page 7 of 9, you report about the growing average of prisoners population at an alarming average rate of 8%. And this is what overcrowds our prisons. Now, I want you to reconcile. How do you reconcile this with the decrease in crime rate? You reported a decrease in crime rate. I wanted to know what brings this. It's attributable to what? But having noted the decrease in crime rate nationwide, how do you then reconcile this with an increase in the prisoner population at an alarming rate of 8%? Secondly, about, I thought that's going to be, yes, you report about a shortfall. These honorable colleagues who are here know very well that in 6 months' time they will be going for elections. And of course, not only members of this committee, but all other. We want to know whether this shortfall does not affect, or because you acknowledge that some activities will be affected. May we know what activities will be affected and how else we can be of help? Because this is your mother committee and we don't want you to run anywhere else. So please, in specific presentations of votes, highlight this. It's of great impact to us, but also to you. Otherwise, your presentation is good.
We are going for elections, and that we have budget cuts. I've already put in place measures to prevent this. I'm engaging the Minister of Finance and my colleagues in Cabinet to see how we shall address this imbalance in order to get a once-for-all support for conducting elections. As you know,
at least for preparedness.
As you know, Honorable Chairperson, elections is a sine qua non,
correct,
for social and political cohesion. Whatever we are doing, if we don't conduct elections that are credible and can be understood by everybody and satisfied by majority of our population, we shall, even what we are doing here will not come to fruition. Whatever we are trying to save will be disturbed and destroyed by the very fact that we don't have a credible election. So we are doing measures to see how to mitigate the effect of this budget shortfall. I thank you.
Okay, Honorable Cooper from Bogo.
Thank you, Chair. Just starting from the budget aspect, I think this should not be the time finance should be thinking of cutting the budget of the Minister of Internal Affairs because of what we are going for. And I think we need to call upon the members and the Minister of Finance not just to reinstate the budget, but to increase if we are to meet and achieve what the Honorable Minister is talking about. And I like the way General Otafire, he talks frankly. He's telling us that he's doing his part on the other side, but also us as members of Parliament, we should be doing our part to ensure that this is achieved to enable us have not only to conduct credible elections, but to have people to live in peace in this country. Chair, my comment again is on the increase on the number of inmates in prisons, which has been a big problem. I wanted to hear a comment from the Honorable General Otafire. Now that the President has directed no bond, that means the number of people going to Luzera is going to increase. No bond and no bail. What's your comment on that? Yeah, vis-a-vis the increase which is already going on. We want to hear your comment. I'm saying the President, as they said, no bond, no bail. But we now limit it to the bond because the bond has affected the police. Yeah, because we are going to increase the number now increase beyond 8%. So I wanted to...
Certainly bail has nothing to do with police.
Yeah.
Bail, bond.
Because if there is no bond, yes. The police don't keep suspects. They have to say... They have to send to our brother. I am saying it, Honorable Otafire. Just last week, I was informed one of my constituents was arrested and brought to Kampala, Chalwajala, police post, that one at the junction. I went there after 3 days. I found 7 suspects in a cage similar to what they keep chicken in the markets. 7, they are spending those nights standing. They cannot, in a small cage, they cannot sleep, they cannot squat. I raised the spokesperson of police. I said, I think this cannot be allowed. And it's a container, a small container. Yet we have Kira police station where this...
Honorable Cooper, which police station is that?
The police post. Chalwajala. Police post. Chalwajala.
Police post.
I have the photo of those people in the cage. So I was wondering why the officers in that police post would keep them in that cage, in that situation. Yet Kira police post is near. Maybe it reminded me of the directive, I think the IGP, which we want to thank you for, ordering that there are some officers who keep suspects expecting something. That's why they keep them longer. Maybe that could be the reason. Why would they even be kept in such a state? Even if, leave alone break the law of the 48 rule. But then, in such a state, I need you to pick interest in that, in that station. So, these are the things which end up with this problem. So, the rest we shall ask.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Wakori, then Brandon.
I just want to also raise my issue akin to what Honorable Okupa has just mentioned. I think this also it will also be good information to IGP. Chair, you know I'm a border man. I have thrived through border business. We have a tendency which has actually cropped up and it is developing by officers of URA. They arrest the smugglers, put them in police cells for about even 2 weeks. Last time, some of my boys were arrested, brought from Manafa to Ginger police station, Ginger Road police station. They were kept there. They actually enjoyed their Christmas in police custody for about 2 good weeks. When I tried to interact with the DPC of Ginger police station, he actually told me, Honorable, if you do not stand up and help us, maybe you need to go and talk to the IGP because this has been the culture of URA, bring for us suspects here. They keep them for the mandatory 48 hours. And I think IGP, you need to interest yourself in this because it is happening. They arrest from the border post, bring them to Kampala. They did not take an action, keep them inside, like you have said, maybe they expect something. So I think you really need to get to interest yourself in that. Chair, you asked the minister to reconcile police cases 80% vis-a-vis the number of prisoners increasing in the prisons on remand. But you are aware that our courts, chair, have a very big problem. The judges at times do not sit. So I think that could also be a reason why there are higher cases in prisons and then vis-a-vis crime is reducing. But I also want to ask the minister. We have a very, very important act that this parliament passed called the Community Service Act. Chair, when you go to many prisons across the country, you will find offenders who have stolen chicken, some have stolen sugarcane, being on remand for many, many years. Yet we have Community Service Act. If we operationalize this Community Service Act, we would help the Commissioner General of Prisons to decongest the prison amidst the limited resources that we have. I beg to submit here.
Thank you. Honorable Brandon, then we go to
Chair. I'm also actually supplementing. I was looking at the video and we look at the aspect of human rights. We have issues of human rights complaints in this country, especially those that are enforcing the law. So I would interest the IGP and the Minister that as we go into this process, that most of us are critically ready because we need to be defended, the vote to be defended. And some of us who subscribe to the party, we need the NRM government deliver to the best. So the issue of human rights, if these police officers were properly trained in the human rights, that even they surrendered, but they went ahead to shoot. So that aspect and that component should be really entrenched much, and we should put interest in it so that we can protect the rights, because it's our duty and cardinal role. So as Parliament and these good members of defense under the leadership of the chair, I'm sure we shall be able to stand to make sure that that area is facilitated for the credible process that we are soon approaching.
Thank you, Honorable Brandon. Let me now have the invite police, which is vote 134, to take us through and address specific requirements from Parliament, also address specific concerns that members of Parliament. Yes, and IGP Byakagaba, I think this is your first time here. Since we approved you, you are submitted to us before.
This one.
Huh? Yes, it's on.
Really privileged to be given this opportunity to represent my entity, to present the budget framework paper to you. But allow me to respond to the issues raised by the honorable members. And I think one of the areas mentioned is the most recent loss of lives of 6 people. And I'll begin by saying that loss of life of even a single individual is regrettable. And I would like it to be put on record that the police cannot be the entity to foster the loss of lives. We clearly know our duties and responsibilities, that we are there to protect life and property. And if any life is to be lost, it should happen also within the confines of the law, of the laws, and following standard operating procedures and regulations. So allow me, Honorable Chair and members, I know this is a very heavy issue, and I may not exactly give you all the details about this particular incident, but I want to assure you members through the chair that we take it seriously, and as my minister has said, let us follow procedures even as we fight for the rights of those who have died, but also including preserving the rights of those who have killed. And I think that's the bottom line. And what am I saying here? I'm saying that we are following processes and procedures, although the concern is how long is this going to take? It's going to take some bit of time, but action is going to be taken within the confines of the law. and that's what I want to promise. For the details, I have also seen the recordings and the people talking, but still, I think it even comes from here, that you just don't judge situations, you don't judge people until you have got the real gist of the circumstances. The media has brought out what was seen, what was purportedly seen, but the police must bring out what exactly happened. And I think I'd like to request Chair, through you, Chair, that I know what happened really raises a lot of concern. We are talking about loss of lives here, but allow me to repeat it again. We are taking it as seriously as it should be, and at an opportune time, we shall be able to account to this committee, to the people of Uganda, because we are tasked by the people of Uganda to carry out what we do carry out. With your permission, allow me to generally respond to that. And I think the reason is simple. Just out of what I've said, because even my colleagues who are here, none of them was directly there. It calls for serious investigation and assessment to arrive at a decision that must remain legal and defendable. The same applies to, first of all, my apologies to Honorable Sekikubo. I'm aware of what transpired in Remedial, and the same is being subjected to a neutral assessment so that we don't hurt any individual in the process. And at an opportune time, I should be able to give a response and act accordingly, also being guided by protocols and procedures. I may not be able to give exactly what is going to happen, but I can promise and confirm that action will be taken where it is required. There was also the other issue raised by Honorable Numbers, I think, about people, officers escorting goons. I think still our efforts are still work in progress. Now, at this juncture as Inspector General Police, it's very difficult for me now to exactly give the pretty details of what happened around that incident, because even for me, I'm just getting that complaint, and I promise that we are going to follow it up thoroughly. But the issue you raised is, I think it's not only in your area, it could be countrywide, but at times, because the police moves with the force, most of these activities are carried out by court brokers, given permission by court, but when it is done without, then there is a problem which we must handle. And for me, that's the bottom line, and we are ready and prepared to correct where we get mistakes, but equally seriously ready to protect the people of Uganda. And we have that commitment, I can really confidently say this. Along the way, there will be mistakes. But what is important is how do you handle those mistakes? And that's why I want to assure you that the systems and procedures and processes of handling those issues are in place, and we shall continue to improve on even those systems. I beg that where we falter, we work around these things together, because the police is ours. the police is to help us, to help this country, to enable this country to move forward. As we realize it as an institution, that we have a very cardinal duty. And if we don't perform it, you cannot talk of development. Because if you lack peace and security, then the aspirations, all those visions, 2040, the PBM and all that, we are alive to that fact, and we shall work towards that to ensure that this country continues to move forward. I would like to welcome that undertaking. Then you must rein in on those ones who may want to take you for granted, who may feel they are connected. You must rein in on them, and I think that's why the president appointed you, and we are all happy with your professionalism and your trusted officer. Science can show, Mr. Chairman, last time when we had the police, someone had put on the file from a police statement, the office of the deputy IGP, and he asked, is this your own personal report or it is for the police? But you've escaped it. The file is reading Uganda police. Unlike your predecessor who had assumed, not your predecessor exactly, but someone down there who had wanted to have a higher grasp of the force. So, Mr. Chairman, we entreat you, we shall be here to support you. I was actually very mad about the operations budget. But you must really on them. They will take you for granted if you give them away. You must stand, you must be the first of the Uganda police, so that wherever we run, when things happen, we know there is somebody in charge who will address these crimes to the people of Uganda.
Thank you. Thank you, Sechko. IGP, please. And let's, because now, eventually,
I think there is one area I have not yet responded to from the concerns of the members. The shooting, the unfortunate shooting incident
at Kampala Club.
Around near Kampala Club. Again, the incident is regrettable. And again, the other regrettable circumstances, we have not yet got the culprit, but all efforts are in place to get the suspect. Even just yesterday, I was in a meeting to map out extra measures to see that we arrest this rogue policeman.
Okay.
But I also want to just present our little efforts.
The suspect is a policeman?
The suspect is a policeman from the VIPPU.
Oh, so that should be easy to track.
He's still at large. We have carried out remedial actions in some of the instances. I hope they are being seen and registered. Like the incident that took place in Imbarara, actually where police officers were dragging a lady. The police acted very fast to an extent that I started getting calls. That's too fast. Because what I did was to quickly put them in the police court. They were charged, and fortunately the court recommended a dismissal for them from the police, and then they were taken to the criminal court. But what I wanted to share with you, Honorable Chair and members, I started getting reactions that I think you are getting too fast. Now, maybe I may have to be guided now. If it is indiscipline and criminality, I think if I'm being told that I'm getting too fast, I'll get faster.
IGP,
I promise to get faster.
get assurances from us that when you are doing your job and doing it professionally, stick there.
Thank you, Chair. Allow me, I know we have the constraint of time.
Yes.
Detentions by URA,
Arrests by URA.
arrests by URA and detentions by the police. Of course, that's not right. We know what the Constitution, the powers that it gives us. It's 48. And even that officer, I think I'll have to interact, someone will have to interact with him. URA is not in charge of the police cells. So that officer is in charge of the police cells. And therefore that excuse that helped me do ABCD, maybe that you will also assist me to keep retraining the police officers, because he must know that that is his responsibility. Whether the person has been brought by a sister agency, at the end of it, accountability is his, and by extension, accountability is by the Inspector General of Police. So if it is to say sorry, I must say sorry here, but we are going to rectify. Thank you. We will rectify.
Go on.
Chair, allow me to transit to the main area where you have asked me.
Go on, please.
The main area of presentation this afternoon is the budget framework paper, and I've already said I'm really honored. But also, I thank my minister for summarizing the key areas included in this paper. But allow me, Chair, just to point out a few areas before I call upon my accounting officer.
Land evictions. One is that private security organs are not supposed to be part of the evictions, and two, that these evictions must be done within working hours during the day. But like I told you, what happened in night was at night, and for several months now, a village has been besieged by goons and private security people. I've personally been at police. I've visited the area. At one time I met there even the OC, but the way he was behaving was like he was so incapacitated and unable to be dealing with these people, you know, as if he feared them. So I want to know what I asked really, and the assurance Ugandans must get from you, Mr. IGP, is that one, people now as a business are raising up militias to guard the land. And they are out there for hire.
Honorable Namboze, I think it has been noted. Honorable Namboze, and you and me have been on this committee, and we know that thereafter we
when they asked the clarification I'm seeking is, when the IGP was giving us the answer, he did not come out specifically on that matter. Secondly, Mr. Chairman, is the issue of the time. He has said that they are going they need a lot of time. They need reasonable time to deal with the issue of the execution of Uganda, the suspected execution of Uganda. What I want to know is specifically what is so special. Wasn't police the one who were conducting this operation? Because this is something that was done on camera in broad daylight, and then you hear that we shall need the time, we shall need the reasonable time. And what is that reasonable time? Mr. Chairman, we are talking for the dead who are not here to talk for themselves. So if you say and you leave it like say we shall need time, I think that is not commitment enough.
I think let us agree. Partly, I think Honorable Minister responded, and then the IGP also gave a view. And finally, you find that most of these issues are in the budget framework paper. Eventually, maybe you tell you the really clearly stated that the problem is fuel. It is us to solve this, and that is why we are here. And I think I will now rule that IGP specifically give the highlights, and then we receive the budget framework paper, and then thereafter we shall have more questions. You know, Honorable Numbers, you have even deprived me of this seat. Now the chair is back, isn't it?
Joined to provide by the Constitution and the people of Uganda. But I want to bring out to areas where I think we need very seriously to be considered without any hesitation, like the fight against terrorism. This is it's always work in progress, and we need a lot of support in that area. But we also, the chair has already talked about it, my minister has talked about it, the policing, the policing of elections, which are actually at our doorstep. We need to have very serious preparation. And one of the areas where we think we need to be quickly helped is in quick recruitment of police officers, constables especially. And the details will come out from the organization. But we also would like to have serious support on the sub-county policing model. We think once we operationalize that model, we shall be able to cover the country effectively, and we shall be able to support the aspirations of this country in terms of the NDP4, in terms of PDM, and so on and so forth. We also would like to be supported in the acquisition of new equipment, also relevant to the prevailing circumstances in terms of threats. We need that support, more especially in terms of taking charge of our environments. I may not go into the details, but also maintenance and upgrade of some of our anti-crime infrastructure, like the CCTV, like the forensic lab, like canine, and so on and so forth. Those are very important aspects of our efforts. We also wish to have very, very strong support on our operational costs, because especially when you look at the period, as I've already intimated, the period we are in, almost in, we need that support. And then the other area is the welfare of the personnel. Very critical, because we depend on them. They are our heavy lifters, especially the lower cadres. We seriously need that support. And also maintenance of other critical infrastructure, but which take a lot of resources, like the air wing, like the marine police, the fire brigade. Those are really heavy consumers, and we really need support in that direction. And also the other one is the management of our indebtedness. Of course, this has kept on happening because of the meager resources. And as you realize, the police will not sit back and say, since we don't have this, we cannot respond to some of these situations. I think the minister has already mentioned it. I think from our own immediate assessment, the crime levels are going down, and I think it is raising a lot of questions. But equally, the resources are going down, because I think this coming budget, I think we have been cut by about 32 billion. Instead of moving up, we are going down, but the population is increasing, activities are increasing, the budget of the police is going down. But what is the good news is that the crime is reducing, so we really need your support. That means the people I'm leading, together with other partners, are putting in extra effort to ensure security. But we are not there. We are not yet there. It is still business, work in progress. At this juncture, Chair and members, I request that the Undersecretary comes and presents the budget framework paper on my behalf.
That's okay. You can come. You can use the other side. Is it not working? Okay, fine. So, Chair, currently we are seeking for supplementary funding to meet obligations related to the upcoming 2026 general elections, investigations, intelligence, counterterrorism, CCTV expansion, implementation of the sub-county policing model, then recruitment and training, which IGP has just talked about. Chair, it is true that our budget for the next financial year, which is starting in July, has been cut by 32 billion from the current 932 billion to 895 billion. However, the situation of Uganda is as follows insofar as policing is concerned. The current population projection is 45 million Ugandans, and the police strength is 47,952, which gives us a police population ratio of 1 to 958. One policeman
to 958.
958 persons.
Yeah, and yet the recommended ratio is supposed to be 1 policeman to 500 persons.
How is that aligned with NDP4?
We have challenges, and that's why we're asking for recruitment of the 10,000 PPCs to bridge the gap.
So the recruitment of 10,000 PPs is not for purposes of election alone, but also to beef up the strength of this population. Okay.
The current case is 1 to 39 cases, yet the international recommended ratio is supposed to be 1 policeman handling 12 cases in a year. Chair, this explains the challenges we have with investigations. Chair, we also have worked out what they call per capita budget for police, basing on what we receive as non-wage and capital. When you look at the police budget, it looks so big, yet over 50% is for wage only. We are supposed to have a ratio of 1 to 4. For each 1 shilling of wage, we are supposed to have 4 for the non-wage component. And currently it is 1 to 0.8. We have less money to perform work, and we are only able to pay salaries effectively. Chair, we also faced with suspects in custody currently with a daily average of 2,740 persons across the entire country that we are supposed to feed. And we also have a challenge with fuel. According to the available fleet, we can only afford 2.5 liters per day for each police vehicle. And we are saying we need at least a minimum of 10 liters per day in order to effectively carry out policing. I've shared with you there is a graphical presentation of the decline in the police budget. That's page 1. So on page 3, it has bar graphs and a line graph to show that actually there is a decrease. Now, I need to explain that in this current financial year, where you see a purported increase, that was the money which we received for wage enhancement, salaries. Like I know it's one of the issues I'm going to explain. So the budget looks big, but actually that was only for wage. Sure, we received the wage increment of 99 billion, and that's what raised the budget for this current year. However, we continue to face challenges of feeding in operations, like I've mentioned, crime intelligence, providing adequate uniforms and warm clothing, operations of the fleet, which includes vehicles, boats, and aircrafts, provision of utilities. Chair, members have been raising issues of water and electricity, issues of skills development, which is actually training both the beginning and the in service, and the provision of housing for our personnel.
Chair, because of this, we have persistent growth in arrears. Currently, our arrears stand at 112 billion. Specifically now, Chair, allow me to respond to the issues that the committee raised. And the first issue was on the, you requested us to provide a detailed account on the performance of the budget by half year, by sub-program. Chair, there is a table there. By half year, we had received 50% of the wage, which is actually what is supposed to be. Our wage budget is 495 billion, and we received 246, which is 50%, and that's what is supposed to be. The non-wage recurrent budget is 268 billion. By half year, we had received 143, which is 107%, more than what we expected. And arrears, we received 100%, although they were so negligible, like you can see, only 3 billion out of a stock of 112. And the development budget of 164 billion, we received 90, which represents 55%. And we were able to absorb the money, except for wage, because of wastage and attrition. The reason we always ask for recruitment on replacement basis. And then non-wage is necessarily in the areas of pension and gratuity. We are still verifying pensioners to process their payments. And in the area of development, some procurements are still ongoing. That's why we have 95% as opposed to 100% absorption. And Chair, the second issue the committee raised was the implications of the proposed budget allocations and addressing the allocations in relation to NDP4, the PAP indicators by sub-program. So we go to page 5. Chair, the budget priorities for this sector will just explain what we're expecting in the medium term. You can see that in the next financial year, Chair, which is 25-26, we have a provision of 895. The other year, 26-27, it is projected to rise to 985. Financial 27-28 is a projection for the budget to rise to 1,073 billion. 28-29 is projected to rise to 1.2 trillion, and 29-30, 1.3 trillion. So I've explained that the budget cut affects the areas of crime investigation, intelligence, feeding, fuel, our capacity to pay arrears, and preparation for the general elections. So the other issue raised is the priorities for 25-26 by sub-program. And police has 4 sub-programs, sub-programs. The first one is crime prevention and investigation management. Chair, we are planning to take on at least 68,000 cases in the coming financial year, and that would require 96 billion. However, only 7 billion is available in the budget, posting a shortfall of 89 billion. We would also like to extend canine services to 39 locations, which I mentioned there. We all have copies, Chair. Starts with the Bodaka up to Mirama Hills. We require 2.9 billion, and we only have 700 millions, giving us a shortfall of 2.2 billion. In the area of containing terrorism, we require 13 billion, and we only have 6.6, giving us a shortfall of 6.8 billion. Chair, we also have efforts to do crime prevention through community policy, which we now wish to take to the sub-county level. We require 14 billion, only 6 is provided, and a shortfall of 8 billion. Crime investigations and specialized operations with technical support of the CCTV infrastructure. We required 27 billion, only 5 is available in the budget, giving us a shortfall of 21. Chair, we have also international obligations relating to regional groupings and where Uganda is a signatory to certain protocols, which requires us to have 5.7 billion and only 2.2 is available. The second area is territorial policing, which is actually the police that is out there in the countryside. And here we have planned to carry out those activities of gender awareness and human rights issues to do with the refugee security in the communities that are hosting refugees, anti-stock theft operations. And Chair, this is not only in the area of Karamoja, as to actually throughout the country. There is a cattle corridor which traverses the entire country. And then regional policing, where we required 113 billion, but only 15 is available, and a shortfall of 98 billion. The other area is the emergency response and specialized policing, which includes fire prevention and public safety, management of incidents on water, especially the lakes, Albert, Lake Edward, Lake Victoria, and the islands in those lakes. We have management of traffic, we have emergency medical evacuation, search and rescue operations, escort to VIPs, and surveillance. And lastly, the area of integrated management of HIV, TB, and the other health issues in the police, where we required 49 billion, and we only have 14 billion, giving us a shortfall of 38 billion. Under the category of welfare for police addressed, Chair, every police officer is supposed to have at least get 2 pairs of uniforms in a year. This one we've always explained. We require 58 billion to provide uniforms, and we only have 17. So this explains sometimes when you see our personnel not so smartly dressed. Chair, we have an issue with the electricity. We have only 16 billion out of the 26 we require. Water in the barracks says we require 27 billion, we only have 13. And then for feeding, we require 91 billion. However, we have only 45 billion, which gives us a shortfall of 45. So we would like to roll out something called the electronic policing information system, where a citizen can report a case from his home, and we take it up. We want to go digital, since this is a digital era, and we require 98 billion to have that system in place. Page 7. Item A, which is EPIS, Electronic Policing Information System. We want to do something that is in consonance with the contemporary demands of the population, and that's the challenge we have. We would like to improve radio communication across the country. We also want to improve areas of customer care. We've had issues where people complain that we don't have customer care, and instances of corruption and other things. We also want to address them. We required 1.8 billion, we only have 1.1 because we take that very seriously, Chair. We'd like to improve the areas of discipline in the force and adherence to human rights. We'd like to operationalize all disciplinary courts and implement we have a UPF human rights policy, which we customized to address the issues that have been raised both here by the House and by the population generally. Chair, we also want to recruit on replacement basis 3,500 personnel to address the issues of attrition and the wastage. We require 21 billion, however, we only have 12, and that shortfall is so big because when people are in training, you can't say you skip a meal or you don't need water or something. Chair, in the area of maintenance of our fleet, our fleet includes the boats, aircrafts and motorcycles with vehicles and others, we have a shortfall of 125 billion. Chair, we have issues of aircrafts and others which require a lot of money and insurance. We actually currently only insuring the aircrafts, but the marine vessels and our fire boats are not insured. Then stationary, Chair, is a challenge that most people have complained when you go to a police station and they tell you to buy stationery. We actually require 6 billion and only have 2. And then the issue of compensations, this
You are
is
going digital and then you require stationery.
yeah, because police does not use these rota trim papers we use for printing exams. Police uses forms which are specialized.
Okay.
So we need stationery, both to our personnel and out of court cases. And then arrears, Chair, we have 0. And I request, Chair, that honourable members note this, because some people that have supplied the police keep complaining that we are not able to pay. We have 0 provision for arrears in the coming financial year. Completely 0. And that's one of the areas we would like to be assisted. Chair, we also plan to renovate those dilapidated structures that you know, especially around the KMP here and the surrounding areas, Bombo, Ntinda, Nsambia, Naguru, Chireka. And we are doing this in a phased manner. Works have started this year and we want to continue in the next year to improve. Maybe in over 3 years you'll see a change in the face of police in KMP. We would like to continue with the construction of apartment blocks. We started in Jinja and Entebbe. We would like to complete the construction of units that we started in Chira. Those who stay in Kampala have seen that in Chira. There are also modular prefabs that we started in Naguru and we want to complete them. Chair, we also want to continue with the implementation of the sub-county policing model. We required 36 billion to roll out and we only have 12. We also have factory. We want to acquire factory molds so that we use our in-house capacity now for construction, and we'd like to procure this equipment which you've seen. We've prioritized it and there is no shortfall. We also plan to complete the construction of the perimeter wall around Chibuli. I think you have seen something around the CID headquarters at Chibuli. That land was under threat of being grabbed. We're also planning to construct a data analysis center for crimes at Chibuli. And then the 11 sub-counties that we started in Masaka. Chair, we also need to buy land in the Mukono and the Michana, among other areas, for strategic purposes. And lastly, Chair, we have these assets we want to acquire. They'll put a host from A up to V. General transport, which includes patrol vehicles, troop carriers, aircrafts, a tractor for towing the aircrafts, surveillance wagons, multi-personnel carriers, ambulances, machinery for CCTV, specialized equipment for forensics, automation of the EPIS, the Human Resource Information Management Information System, machinery and equipment for crime investigations, machine and equipment for crime intelligence, specialized machinery for counterterrorism. We also have contractual obligations for the teams and DMS. We'd like to carry out overhaul of our aircrafts and specialized equipment for our MDD. We have a music, dance and drama group, which is the police band, commonly known as the police band. We also would like to acquire a generator for police training school, Cavalier. We had planned to construct a marina, but we have no resources for it, for our marine vessels. and others, Chair, as you can see. So, Chair, generally, this is how the budget is broken down for the next financial year. These are the details we requested. And we are requesting that first the 32 billion is restored, and then we can start from there in terms of the assistance from the committee. Chair, the committee requested for...
Mr. Chairman, you have led well this committee meeting.
Thank you.
But you only allowed them to proceed in total defiance of what we had requested, Mr. Chairman. Fundamentally, we had wanted them, since this is a budget framework paper interaction, we had requested for the budget performance 2024-25 to give a detailed account on the performance of the budget by half year. And we stated clearly this should be done by sub-program and sub-program. And when you see what he put on page 4, this wasn't in tandem or in compliance with what the committee had requested them to do. So what we ended up doing is going into the fishing expedition of looking at what you've done, then you take us along what you've constructed. But that's basically it was a budget performance by half year through programs, sub-programs, and sub-programs, so that we can follow together, so that we can report back to Parliament on the budget performance. But this is now a description of what you've been able to do, what you've done, what you intend to do, as if you are leading this to laymen and laypersons.
Thank you, Honorable
Mr. Chairman, was this what they were intended to do, Mr. Chairman? Number 2 and last one. Mr. Chairman, we provided for a corrigenda for salary. And indeed, a supplementary was done. Out of the 190.97 billion given as a supplementary to Uganda Police, you allocated 99 billion. And we had estimated this to begin with a police constable, the lowest of the low. But you ended up giving it to your bosses. You ended up enhancing the bosses' payment and salaries, Mr. Chairman. And to us, you let us down. You even declared a 25% increment. And yet the big officers you enhanced, they have their vehicles, they have their fuel cards, some have houses, but we're talking about the constable, the corporal, the sergeant, that category of employees. And now you are promising that you are only going to give the areas from November. Yet we passed it in July. The financial year started its performance in July. Can you tell us why you are not being sincere and complying with what Parliament had resolved? Are you biased to your bosses? You are saying you don't have money for other activities, but you're enhancing those of your bosses. And yet the spirited show of Parliament was enough is enough. Let us have a 25% increment, and it was due to start on the July 1st, 2024. And now you are promising a prospective half of November. Mr. Chairman, are we on the same page?
Thank you. Okay. Honorable K.
UPDF were very specific that it was, we had enhanced from a major up, and then we were very specific that now it should be from a private to the captains, which was not done in police. So that one, it is either Parliament, or maybe this committee, or the Undersecretary. But if we had been specific, like it was in UPDF, I think that one would have solved the problem. Chair, I come to the question of areas. And these areas, we owe to Ugandans who go to banks, borrow money, and then supply police. And they continue accumulating areas. I think this House and this committee should look at this question of areas, domestic areas. These are suppliers who have brought posho, who have given beans, and they have done so after getting loans from banks. Many Ugandans are losing their property as a result of it. I think this committee and the House will look at this one squarely. Then the question of water. I find that actually it was still the wisdom of this committee, because I've been on this committee for some time, that actually police, prisons, and UPDF were the main defaulters when it came to the issues of electricity and water. And that's how we came out of the issue of having prepaid meters. I think
water meters in Uganda, surely. And you say when the prepaid water meters are over, we go without water. Surely. Why do you sustain such a small life? For what?
So